Sports Car Radio, and especially the haters, this video is going to be for you. Today on Forest Views, it's broker hope time, where we've got a list of names here. Many of them have been hating on Sports Car Radio, some passively aggressively like Geoff Wilson, some of them a little bit more in your face like Jason from Mojo Sports Autographs. So we're going to do a little game here that we're calling Hope or Broke. By the end of the year, do these list of names have any hope of still being in business and thriving here in the sports car industry, or will they be broke, looking for a job and potentially cleaning pools during the summertime like our boy SashaT?
How's that pH level?
Check it. Let's kick things off, Ryan. I've got first on the list, HGA Grading.
I'm going to say broke.
You're going to say broke. I'm going to say broke as well. And I have some reasoning behind that. I believe that the Beckett grading, and then you have SGC, and you have CSG, and obviously you have PSA as well. They've been overwhelmed with a backlog of cards. We're seeing that backlog start to alleviate. Certainly at Beckett, I think, sent out an email to customers. They're starting to take submissions. At some point, the backlog's going to alleviate, and then they're going to be driving back business. The way they're going to drive back business is by dropping their prices. The minute the top tier grading companies, and top tier is probably in quotes because many of these companies, as you know, are involved in many scandals, including trimming the cards and authenticating cards that aren't real, authenticating autographs that aren't real as well. Obviously, none of them, as we would call them, professional, but the top tier will likely lower their prices and, in my opinion, squeeze out an HGA likely by the end of the year.
I have some reasons too. I mean, they use printing equipment that is literally used. They have one Adobe. They don't have a professional Adobe account. They have one employee who runs around and like logs people in like one at a time because they don't want to pay for the Adobe account. So we've heard from numerous former employees and just little things, former graphic designers. Now I think they even were going to open 3 locations. And my guess is that didn't come to fruition. And I think, what's the guy's name? Tyler was going to hire, he said, 10 to 50 people a week. Guarantee that hasn't come to fruition. Now, I think they did post something on social media the other day. I think there were people who were worried that they were indeed broke because they're literally behind on orders. They've limited the orders they've taken, and they haven't even capped out on those because they never wanted to get backlogged. But here we are, and HGA is literally like running at a 6-month backlog if you look into it. People that have submitted stuff, that was like 6 months ago. There probably isn't a whole lot of people that, I think they had 3,500. They had 3,500 orders that they were going to take the other go round, and I think only 1,000 had gotten taken. So about a third of what they wanted to be able to handle. And again, they were going to open 3 locations and hire 10 to 50 people a week. So yeah, broke. Well, and all you have to do is listen to that guy Tyler talk for about 2.5 seconds, and you realize that company's never going to have, and he makes Joe Orlando look like, William Shakespeare or something. So who's next on our list?
Well, next on the list, Startstock.
Ooh, I'm going to say end of the year.
By the end of the year. 9 months.
There's not hope, but I think the website is still up in 9 months. But obviously, I think you can go to their website and look at the sales or whatever, and there's nobody buying cards. There's no bids or buy prices. So there's no hope, but my guess is the website's still up. I mean, the pit.com is still up after all these years. So,
and that is a good assessment, but I'm going to say broke because I think they have investors backing them, and those investors, I think, already have showed that they've run out a little bit of a patience. The fact that they had to pivot so hard away from trading cards after they made some big splash into it, raised money, hired a bunch of people, did a lot of marketing around sports trading cards, and they've done a hard pivot off of that. I'm sure investors are willing to give them a quarter, maybe 2 quarters into the summertime where they're expecting to see results after that hard pivot. They hard pivoted into NFTs, which might be more competitive and more watered down than even the trading card business. And so I don't think they're going to find success into what they're pivoting to. If they had this magical thing that they were going to pivot to, I would maybe expect them to be around. I think the only upside for this company is they get bought out, is somebody buys them for their customer inventory and their customer list. But look, Check On My Cards doesn't need it because most of the people that have accounts on Startstock already have accounts on Check On My Cards. And any of these other companies aren't necessarily flush with that much cash. I think investors are just going to pull the plug and kick these guys to the curb. I'm going to say Startstock going to be broke by the end of the year. We give them 9 months, 9 lives left to live. Next on the list, a channel favorite, Geoff Wilson, sports card investor. What do you say about Geoff?
You know, Geoff is probably going to fail like he did his NFT project, probably a dozen more times. I mean, if his NFT project was a disaster. I don't know if you guys know. He literally sold 20 NFTs. I mean, his idea to sell video clips of group breakers opening big clips and sell those as NFTs might go down as one of the worst ideas in the history of sports cards. So he's going to have some more failures, but this guy seems to be able to pull money out of his butt one way or the other. I mean, he bought into these worthless little cell phone grading accessory companies the other day to the tune of like 6 figures. He's hiring 20 people who seemingly do nothing all day. So I think he's not going to be broke. I think there might be hope for him because maybe he just keeps throwing money at something and eventually maybe he does hit a home run. His Market Movers app, that's a loser. There's no way people pay money for that when you can get everything on that app essentially for free. And with cards declining in value over the last 12 months, 13 months, who the heck wants to pay for, it's like, what do you need to pay $25 a month for to tell you that your cards are going down in value? So the guy has actually not hit that many home runs and not had that many success. My guess is this money is coming from other successes and other businesses, and maybe this card thing's like a tax write-off or a wish or a hope or to keep. I know he has a son where he does box breaks with his son. It's probably something to to keep his kid involved and so forth. And he probably just tries to build multiple companies, and he probably sees a lot of promise in sports cards. I think he's still going to be around. I don't think he's going to be broke because again, the money just seems to like fly out of this guy's butt. So I think there's hope for Geoff because he's also, he'll fail at NFTs, but then he's firing 6 more figures at us. What's it called? The whatever the cell phone accessory grading thing he bought the other day for 6 figures. So, he's just going to keep firing until he hits 1 or 2. So what do you think?
Well, with him, I think his content, if he doesn't get burnt out on content, or if he doesn't let the criticism that is going to come whenever you put yourself out there, you're going to receive a lot of criticism, especially in the position he puts himself in, where he's telling people what to buy, telling you what to sell, telling you what's going up, what's going down. He's going to put him into the position where he's going to receive a lot of criticism, and he's already shown that he's had a little bit of a thin skin with that. And so if he lets that get to him, I think his number one success story is his channel, is his ability to put up content 2 to 3 days a week, which look, I don't care the quality of your content. I don't care what you're talking about. You could be talking about dust, or you could be talking about trading cards. To do it 2 to 3 times a week for several years like he has been is an absolute success, and probably something that I personally would just double and triple down on, because like you said, everything else he touched has turned to stone and crumbled. And so, I think we're right. I think he's not going to find success in other parts of this hobby, but if he continues to churn out the content here on YouTube, he'll have a little bit of a success with that. Now, if he's got editors and writers and producers on that, he's not going to make any money based on the views that he's getting and based on how much money you can make, even with sponsorships from eBay or other companies that might want to sponsor him. He's not going to make any money off of it, but at least he can keep it going and have that as something that he has. But I've seen a lot of YouTube creators, especially in the stock market space over the last 2 years, really get burnt out and really take the criticism and take what people say about them and their stock picks to heart. And they end up, one guy that I knew actually quit today, or at least supposedly quit today. So those things can happen. And I think as long as he doesn't do that, he'll be in this hobby he'll be like a cockroach like we are and be in this hobby for as long as he really wants to be. Next on the list, another fan favorite of Sports Card Radio and somebody that I'm sure would love to see us at a trading card event, and that is SashaT. What do you think about SashaT?
You know, I think with SashaT, he's, aside from selling a fake Lamar Jackson autograph, which he probably didn't do intentionally, he's really never done anything shady in the sports card world. He's a young guy. He hustles. He's connected to Rob Veers over at Burbank Sports Cards. And hey, if you ever have heard Rob Veers give a talk about sports cards, it's pretty inspiring. And I know he's taken him to the back room there at Burbank Sports Cards and kind of said, hey, Sasha, hey, forget about these stupid slabs. And there's all these 10 cent to $5 to $20 cards that people are on my website, you know, thousands of times over looking to buy these cards. And look, I mean, Burbank's Cards is up to like 2 stores. Rob Veers is a really fun guy to hear talk about. He's very inspiring, and he talks about, you know, the technology he uses in his store and how he keeps things organized. And so because Sasha is closely connected to him, I think there's definitely hope for him. And the fact that he's a young guy and the fact that he hasn't done anything really shady to our knowledge, I think there's a lot of hope for him. And, you know, depending, you know, what his level of cash flow and his funding and how he's able to stay connected to people, I think there's a lot of hope for him to be a well-known and successful dealer in the sports card world.
Well, I'm not going to be as nice. If he's living at home with his parents, he probably can afford to do this, essentially what amounts to being a side hustle, at least here in California. Maybe some of you guys that live out in the middle of nowhere on the states that people just like to fly over and not actually visit and make money and build a family and a home. Well, you know, out here in California, you got to be making some money, okay? It doesn't matter where you live. It used to not be the case, but out here in California, you got to be up in that 6 figures if you want to live in that comfortable lifestyle. Otherwise, you're going to be living that broke lifestyle. And so, yeah, maybe he's around in the hobby in 9 months, but he's still going to be living that broke lifestyle where he's, you know, it might look like he's got some cards and it might look like he's, you know, made a couple $100s here and there. But guys, out here in California, a couple $100s ain't going to cut it. And eventually he's going to get a little bit older. He's going to want he's going to want to move out of mommy and daddy's place. He might want to meet a girl and might want to start a family and things like that. And quite frankly, you can't be hustling $60 cards on Instagram and pay the bills. That's just a fact, okay? We've experienced that ourselves. I've certainly experienced it with having a family and things like that. If all I survived on was my trading cards, I'd probably be out trying to clean pools as well. So SashaT is going to be what I would call card broke by the end of the year. He's still going to be in business because he's still going to have mommy and daddy paying the vast majority of his overhead expenses. But the minute he wants to get out on his own, that's when SashaT will vanish or pivot into something else. And look, I think he has personally, I think he has the hustle and the drive. He should forget about these stupid trading cards and go make some real money on some of this other stuff. Okay, we've certainly been examples of that as well. We've talked enough about it here on the channel. The other stuff that we're out here hustling and trading, sure, we're on this channel talking about trading cards, but you know, my other channel here on YouTube has 100,000 subscribers because that's where the money is. Moving on to, this is another just absolute stone cold fan favorite. Everybody out there is on the edge of their seat watching this video, I guarantee you right now, and they're wondering who the next name is, and that is Jason from Mojo Autographs. We're not talking about Mojo Break. We like those people. Doug and Dan and the whole team over at Mojo Break had a great time with them at the Tops Conference and had a great time meeting up with them. Anytime we're with them. Mojo Breaks, Mojo Sports, we love what they're doing over in San Jose, but this Jason guy is piggyback off their success in this hobby. And word is that he might get in a little trouble with that, but we'll keep that for another time. That might be our next video. We'll see what happens there. But Jason from Mojo Sports, who famously waved his finger at us and then all of a sudden was crying in 2 successive videos on his own channel. We basically made a grown man cry. What do you think about Jason from Mojo Sports Autographs, whatever he wants to call himself, in terms of being in the hobby? Broke, or is there hope?
I'm less bullish on Jason than I was SashaT, because Jason, I mean, he doesn't seem like he has the flippers mentality. It seems like he more likes the attention that he gets off YouTube and the people that watch his videos and stuff, and maybe going around to these card shows. Plus, that gets really expensive. And not to toot my own horn or our own horn, but I'm one of the pioneers of going to card shows and shooting videos. I'm literally have some of the first videos and some of the longest videos from card shows dating back to probably some of you guys weren't even born yet. And I guarantee about at least 60 to 70% of the people that are watching this video weren't even collecting cards in 2012 when I first started putting up videos, traveling around to card shows and putting up videos. And yeah, if you look at those videos today, they're garbage. That's because cell phone technology sucked. Nobody had any idea how to shoot videos at card shows, because again, I was a pioneer and one of the first people to do it. I didn't realize that you literally have to walk around at snail's pace shooting this stuff. And I have no professional photography experience. But like I was saying, I'm one of the pioneers of going around to card shows and shooting videos. And this guy, Mojo Sports, or whatever his name, Jason, first of all, he lives with mommy and daddy. Those pictures that he takes out by the pool, he showed a Kevin Durant autograph, he showed it by the pool. That's his mommy and daddy's pool. You know,
he probably got just done cleaning it. So he was like very happy with
how well he did. He just got done with his chores and he got rewarded. And with his allowance money, he bought a Kevin Durant autograph. And he travels around to these card show circuits, sets up probably presumably a lot of these fake deals and shows you guys, oh, it's a $10,000 deal. Bull crap. Stop it. SashaT flips more cards than this guy does. So will this guy be broke? Probably not, because mommy and daddy bailed him out of damn near prison. You can check one of our videos about that. If you want to learn more about Jason, got plenty of info on him. Again, he was the one wagging his finger at us when he was the one facing, what was it, like 20 felonies or whatever it was?
Yeah.
So,
still on probation.
Still on life probation for that, by the way. Guy could get in trouble any minute at one of these card shows selling fake God knows what. So he'll be around because his parents fund his lifestyle. He lives with them clearly. Guy lives in Sacramento and has a swimming pool in his backyard. That's a $500,000 house, $600,000 house. He's not paying for that traveling around to Tennessee and Texas to these stupid card shows, paying somebody else to film them. It's all mommy and daddy's money. And at some point, you know, he'll have to, you know, pull his big boy pants up and do something real. But he's enjoying the attention. I don't think he's like a business card flipper like SashaT is. I'm more impressed with SashaT than I am Jason from Mojo Autographs or whatever. So I don't know. What do you think about our?
Well, I feel the same way about him. He's out here in California. If you want to make money out here in California and not be eating mac and cheese and macaroni and, you know, ketchup, you have to make over 6 figures out here. That's just the bottom line. I mean, if you want to drive a nice car, live in a nice neighborhood, not be worried about getting shot, not worried about getting robbed. Quite frankly, you either need to live at home with your mom and dad who've brought in the big bucks, or you need to bring them in yourself. And he's not capable of doing it at the current time. And certainly I think at some point he'll meet a girl or want to change his lifestyle, move out, get an apartment, whatever it might be. And he's going to have to, you know, get a little more serious about making money at that point. When that is, who knows? But I would say there is hope for him in the hobby, but only as long as his mom and dad are paying his bills. Next one here on the channel, our boy, I just drew a blank on his name, our boy that does the YouTube videos on the Logan Paul, Rattle Pokemon. I just pulled it out of my butt. Rattle Pokemon, our boy, our just best of best friends. I was just texting him 10 minutes ago. So he's been doing a lot more videos about the Logan Paul. I think he looked at his YouTube video counts and his view counts and he was like, maybe I should post more videos about what got me the most views and most subs last month. And that was the Logan Paul scandal. But more specifically, yeah, he's been talking about Jameel Mohammad of Mealy Pups Card Shop, who we did not see. A lot of you guys out there say, oh, we're tough behind the camera, but we don't show up at card shows. Guess what? We have videos where we've been at card shows recently.
For 10 years.
Yeah. Oh, you ain't going to show up. You ain't going to show your face. Well, a month ago, both of us, and myself included, was in Arizona. We went all the way to Arizona to an event where Mealy Pops has been. Card collector too, isn't he some big sports card shop owner? Shouldn't he have been there? Shouldn't have been a lot of the haters? Where was SashaT? Where was Jason of Mojo Sports?
Or Geoff Wilson?
Where was Geoff Wilson? This was a tops industry conference where you got a lot of free stuff. I haven't really gone through it, but I probably could break even or get back at least my, I don't know, it was like $400 or $500 to get in. I probably could get that back by selling the stuff that they gave me. Okay, where were those guys? You could have came up and talked to me. I didn't see any of you guys there. It was crickets, and including somebody that was not there was Jameel Mohammad of Mealy Pops, who originated or was one of the originators of this Pokemon case that ended up in the hands of Shine, that ended up in the hands of Logan Paul, ended up in the hands of BBCE, and then ended up containing G.I. Joe trading cards. What do you think about Mealy Pops, since he has been rather quiet since his G.I. Joe encounter?
He's been rather quiet, and I think the recent videos from Rattle Pokemon, kind of show a guy that's been in hiding. And that, it's pointing the finger in other directions. Apparently, Mealy Pops was, a $500,000 winner on this case of cards that they sold to Shine for, I think it was like $2.3 million or something. And so there's another guy who owes Shine and owes the community over $1 million. He's gone missing. Apparently, there's lawyers involved, and people are trying to help get money back, and even people have contacted, I guess, Rattle Pokemon to, find this thing. So I guess they're trying to find the original seller and blah, 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 blah. And it sounds really bad. And the fact that Mealy Pops has kind of gone silent, this is a guy that's always out front. And I'm sure he's been on his social channels and with a smiley face and, looking like he hasn't had a haircut in 6 months. But this is a guy who took a $500,000 hit, who made that $500,000 in March and April and then had to pay it back in January. That hurts because he reinvested that money, or his wife, has a new set of something to the show for it. So that money was probably spent. And so that hurt. He probably had to take out a loan or liquidate a whole bunch of stuff. So we're not going to see that guy prancing around probably anytime soon at any kind of card show, unless he's going to keep a real low profile. I think there's hope for him to stay in business because he does get allocation with the card companies, so that might keep him in business a little bit with Panini. He did have some big cards that presumably is worth some money, so he had either some financing or some money coming in, or maybe had previously been successful. But he took a $500,000 hit to start the year in a declining market. There is a chance that, his doors are closed by the end of the year, absolutely, because a lot could happen. He's going to have to keep spending money to grow his business, and to take that $500,000 hit, he's now have legal bills on top of that. We don't even know what else has gone on behind the scenes. And then just personally, now every time you see this guy, I was hoping to see him in Arizona because I was going to ask him, hey, you got any first edition Pokemon? Or, hey, where's your boy JG? Or, just make a funny comment and just chirp at these guys because they deserve it. He pranced around for 20 minutes on a YouTube video bragging about how much money he made. And they had that thing at BBCE for an hour. And there's another guy that should be embarrassed. Maybe we'll talk about him. But so there's hope for Mealy because he's been semi-successful presumably, or he at least had some funding. But $500,000 hit to start the year. I'm 50-50 on whether there's hope or broke there.
Would you say that Jameel Mohammad looks like SashaT? Well, I'll edit that out. So
I won't answer that.
The cupcakes and the fruitcakes that watch this video will spare you guys. You guys can go back in mommy and daddy's room and cuddle up with your pacifier. I don't have a lot to add there. Look, he clearly made an error here. Whether or not he pays for it with his business, I think it's probably a little too soon to tell. I don't think his issues with this are over, and we'll see how he comes out on the other side. I would say there's probably hope for him, just because their card community is so forgiving. They don't give a crap. If you're $5 less than the next guy that has a pristine reputation, somebody's going to buy it from the crook. Okay. And so there's probably hope for him. But I don't necessarily know what kind of presence he really had in this community before that. I think he kind of came up with a lot of these influencers and stuff and got a little bit of attention. But in the grand scheme of things, he's a small guy. BBCE, who you just previously mentioned, broke or hope for BBCE?
Hope, because we've seen over the years that, the sports card world doesn't matter really what you do. You could hold a gun to your child's head and you're still going to have Steve Hart wrap your case because, just have to, because that's just what you do. So there's certainly hope for him because, guys are still going to go to him and still trust him because that's just what these idiots do in the sports card world. They trust guys blindly like Steve Hart, who knew nothing about Pokemon cases, knew nothing about Pokemon really at all, and self-admitted that he literally didn't know anything, had never wrapped a Pokemon case, didn't know anything about it, spent an hour with these two jokers, Mealy Pops and JG, let them convince him basically to wrap it and throw him some money or maybe a Harley. And here we are. But there's definitely hope for him because I guarantee his business hasn't slowed down. He wraps pack or he authenticates packs for PSA. They probably haven't fired him. We at least haven't heard that. So certainly hope for him. Sure, business is going to be good. He'll have his little setup at the National. I have video of BBCE tables at the National dating back to 2013 or 2014. It's some of the most popular videos we've ever done on our channel. So I'm very familiar with them, and I've talked to him before. So there's hope for him. I certainly wouldn't trust anything that was wrapped BBCE, sports cards, Pokemon, anything. But that's just the way the sports card world is. There's definitely always hope for crooks and people who don't know what they're doing but are in a position of power and authority.
There's big hope for him. In fact, I would even go on the side of that. His business is probably going to start thriving. People saw that you could get G.I. Joe packs past him, and all of a sudden you turn a box that's worth $80 into $4 million. Yeah, that's going to give the idea to about 300 people in this hobby that are all going to stop trimming cards and try faking packs, faking sealed wax, and go get it by them and then go put it in a heritage auction and be good. So I don't think it's not hope or broke. It's how much money he's going to make because people saw how terrible he is at this. But the fact that you've got a bunch of card fondlers in this industry that take a little piece of plastic around a box that he had no experience looking at, and if he did 30 minutes of internet research instead of chumming it up with Jameel and the other guy he was with, he probably could have authenticated it, but he didn't. He just put a plastic wrap around it, and they got $3 million for it. So his business is going to thrive. I'm sure there's people watching this that are trying to figure out their next shipment into them. Next one. Very interesting. Maybe not. Our fans out there might not be as familiar with this, but one of the biggest haters of what we're doing here on the channel, and I get the sense from this guy, like our success and our access to just the minor parts of this hobby eats at this guy's soul so much. Like when I was at the Topps event, I had numerous people come up to me and just talk about how this guy was just burning. He was like having an ulcer in his stomach, just rotating. It's like he was downing acids, and it was just getting worse and worse. This guy absolutely hates us. I'm not exactly sure why. I don't really care. In fact, I don't really care. I don't care why he hates us. The hate is as good as love in the entertainment business. But this is Michael Fruitman of... I can't remember his card shop names. Stadium Clubs.
Mike Stadium Sports Cards.
Mike Stadium Sports Cards. I always want to say Stadium
Aurora,
Club.
Colorado.
In Colorado. Somebody that we've had interactions with over the years, sometimes positive, more recently, mainly negative with him. And what do you think about the odds of Mr. Fruitman being hopeful or brokeful?
I almost feel like you should take this one first because you've gotten, very close to this, man.
That's true.
His personal space, at least. So what do you think? Michael Fruitman, owner. His shop has been around, gosh, since It's got to be at least 15, 20 years old. Could be a lot older than that, actually. So, he's been around a long time. He's kind of survived kind of the peaks and valleys of this thing. What do you think? Mike Fruitman?
So I think I don't think he's going to be broke, but I think he's going to be surprised with the pivot that Topps is going to make with their distribution. Topps talked extensively at the conference I was at about how you had to have a store renovation. They talked about how nice your store looked, okay? They didn't want you to have a flea market kind of grungy looking store. And by all accounts, I have not stepped foot in Aurora, Colorado. You couldn't pay me, quite frankly, to go there. But if I were, I would probably skip his card shop as well. But I do know individuals on a close basis that have stepped foot into his card shop more recently, really in the last, I think, 6 to 12 months. And they say it reminds you of those disaster card shops where there's stuff all over the place, there's no organization, there's just kind of a flea market type atmosphere. And Josh Luber specifically said those aren't the hobby shops they're looking to deal with anymore. Josh Luber comes from kind of the boutique sneaker business. That is more the avenue that they're starting to look at with trading cards. They also talked about how, they talked about this a lot, but gave no real specifics of it. And a lot of these dumbasses in the room really don't understand what he's talking about. But they want the quote data that you get from your customers in your store. They want to know the age, the gender. They want to know who's buying, what they're buying, how often they're buying it. That requires a lot of technology and it requires a lot of effort. By all accounts, most of what Mike Fruitman is doing is stuck in the 1980s on a rather benign cash register. I don't even think he has a website. He's figured out how to use social media, but if you look at what he's posted and things like that, it doesn't get a lot of traction because he doesn't really know how to cater to the social media crowd out there. So I think he's a little bit of jealous from us from that sense as well. The fact that we're not in this kind of 20-something-year-old crowd, but we're still able to garner an audience and hold people's attention. And so I actually think he's going to be pushed out the door with Topps. They talked about how they were going to release some new standards with their shops in 60 to 90 days. I guess we're coming up on that sometimes next month. We'll get the word on that. But my guess is his allocation with Topps is probably going to go to the broke side. How he maintains the relationships with Panini, how he maintains selling whatever kind of inventory he does. I think he probably could potentially do that. But I think his status as a influencer inside of Topps's business through the hobby shops is going to go out the window because you're going to have people that have reinvested or bought new card shops or just renovated them and made them a lot nicer. That's the direction Topps is going with. You looked at their DA Card World partnership. They opened, I haven't seen pictures of the shop, but I can imagine it's going to be a really nice looking shop in Cooperstown with DA Card World a part of that. That's the direction that Topps is going to go, and they're going to go the route. I've seen the pictures of some of these. I think we've even seen Card Collector 2's card shop. I mean, some of these guys, I've seen Mealy Pops' card shop. And while we criticize these guys in one sense, their shops look really nice.
Really nice.
It looks like a great atmosphere. Looks really, if I was a brand like Topps or Upper Deck or any of these companies, I would be happy to partner with these people that have invested that kind of money, created that kind of atmosphere, and created that kind of space. Just like Nike is not going to partner with a flea market seller or somebody that's just kind of ragtagged their shop together. That's the direction Topps is going in. So I would say Michael Fruitman more than likely will have some hope, but it's not going to be with Topps.
I agree. I mean, yeah, to the same points that he has hope because he's been around so long, and there's some charm to the flea market card shop, and that kind of the owner who attracts people in. And I'm sure he has a great local following there of people who know he's been there for a long time, and I'm sure he buys and sells a lot of stuff. But I think he sees himself as something bigger. He wants to be, acknowledged from Topps, acknowledged from us to a degree as kind of this, pioneer hobby shop guy, or, he kind of like Jason from Mojo Sports wants to be liked from other hobby shop owners. So he has hope because he's going to stick around and get lines of credits and work a second job just to keep his shop open, because that's basically become his life. But he is, like Colin said, going to run into a lot of business challenges. I mean, ask him where he keeps his inventory. Ask him to pull up a spreadsheet of all the boxes that he has in stock. He literally can't. So that's going to be worrisome and trouble for him. Ask him to present an email list of his customers. He can't. Ask him to show you a website for his shop that's 20 years old. No, he can't. So those are problems, and those are things that, very simple things that somebody like Tops is, hey, show me an email list, show me what you have in stock, show me a website. And if the answer is, I don't have, I don't know, I don't have, it's like, next on the list, because these youngsters and some of these guys, that we do criticize, they've got all those things, or they've got them, pretty close, or something very similar. They have a large social media following that can sometimes work as like an email list, because you can just put out a tweet or an Instagram or whatever, and you have so many people following you that it works the same way as sending an email in a sense. So anyway, so probably a little bit of hope. I think he'll still be open, but broke from a sense in his importance from the hobby, which means a lot to him. I think that'll decline, which will hurt his ego and his pride.
That might be the thing that he cares the most about. Next, another fan favorite here on the channel, often criticized, looks like a cartoon character. That's not according to me. That is the comments, but that is, I don't even know the guy's name. Card Collector 2.
Okay, again, there's still hope for this guy, because he goes around to these cards. First of all, he has a legitimate card shop and a business that does get traffic and presumably has revenue. So he's not like Jason from Mojo Sports, who travels around to these card shows and kind of whims it on a table and is using mommy and daddy's money. Now, maybe Card Collector 2 is using mommy and daddy's money, but he's at least built a semblance of a real business. And from what I heard, he goes to these card shows and these kids basically walk up to him almost starstruck and hand him stuff basically to freaking, hand him good deals. So he's worked himself into a position where, people are going to come to him and basically want to sell them their cards at a discount just to get close to the guy. For some reason, people, he kind of has this it factor among the card collecting community that people are literally drawn to him that have never met him, never talked to him, never been in his shop. I've heard there was the guy with sports card nonsense on the Ringer or whatever. He was like, I met Card Collector 2 for 8 seconds and I trust him, and da-da-da. And I was thinking to myself, like,
my God.
Boy, you guys better not do that with every guy you meet in the sports card world. Holy Jesus Christ. So there's hope for him, because, again, he has a semblance of a business. It does seem like he hustles. He does do a lot of buying and selling and trading. He was running this little, Ponzi scheme with Mark's cards to the tune where he said he had like 5 or 6 people working on this, subgrading business. So he hustles. There's probably money coming in and out. And as long as he, stays on his feet and doesn't take another 6-figure hit in the Mark's Ponzi scheme, the $100,000 hit he took wasn't as bad as the $500,000 hit Mealy Pop's hit. So I'm more encouraged with Card Collector 2 than I would be Mealy Pop's, only because his scam didn't cost them, nearly as much money. So I think there's hope for him. I think he's going to be in business, and long term, probably broke, but I think definitely short term in the Gary V kind of generation we're in with cards, he's going to be fine.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know much about him. I just know the Mark's Cards connection. I've seen images of his card shop. I have seen him talk about the Mark's Card situation. I've seen him refer to relying on an accountant to help him make that business decision to deal with them. I think he's incredibly naive if he continues to self-evaluate himself and realize the mistakes he's made and try to improve on it. Then there's certainly hope in this business. I mean, you see Mike Fruitman, how long that dumbass has been in business. I mean, yeah, he's had to work 2 jobs to keep the lights on, but maybe this guy will have the same kind of passion to do that. I'll just say there's absolute hope for him, but longer term, like you said, I think he'll go by the wayside. Next one, very, very large hater to the channel. We've been involved in lawsuits, not directly being sued by him, although he certainly has threatened that. But we were called to testify against him in a lawsuit. So we were called as expert witnesses in a case involving Leafs Brian Gray, hope or broke for Brian after 2022 is over?
I mean, there's hope for him because he's one of these cockroaches. And, I could see him when all this Fanatic stuff kind of comes together and Panini gets kicked out the door. And, he's still trying to be off on the side, creating stuff for breakers, creating stuff for distributors, and really kind of being a single card hustler. He's a hustler. I've seen him at the National, like wheeling and dealing, have a line. He's kind of like Card Collector too. He has a line of people want him to sell him cards, sometimes at a really good deal. So anytime you have that, a line of people willing to sell you cards at a price you can feel like you can affordably turn over, I feel pretty good about it. And let's not to mention his connection with Joe Clemens, his current employee who has a black label connection at BGS. So we still don't know how that relationship works, and maybe to this day still benefits from. So he's getting free money in that regard, and so anytime you're getting kind of a handout and a leg up, I think there's definitely hope. I think he'll still be in business, and we'll see long term what Fanatics decides, whether they'll sue this guy out of business and let him hang around. So I think that's long term what he's got to think about. Will Ruben and Josh Luber want this guy around? We've seen Upper Deck try to really strong arm him and almost put him out of business. That's in court documents. That's not me saying that. That's literally in court documents saying that this Upper Deck lawsuits that we were called to testify in could have put Leaf out of business. So I'm assuming Ruben and Fanatics have enough money and lawyers and might to do the same thing. So if I were Byron Gray, I'd be very, 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 that'd be the top of my list and probably lose sleep over that. And so probably not broke because I don't think they're going to do that this year. But, if we look out to 2025, the legal bills over at Leaf Trading Cards could outweigh anything they bring in monetary-wise.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I think there's hope for them this year, but longer term, you just see the track record of what Fanatics has done. They have consolidated whatever it was, from T-shirts to jerseys to hats to trinkets to whatever, and they basically just sue everybody else and strong arm everybody else out of that business. And that's what he's going to do in trading cards. He's not in that mode right now because they're still trying to feel things out. We've talked about it on my videos that I did from the Topps convention. They're still like hiring management over there. So like they haven't even gotten the strategy kind of laid out and the blueprint figured out. Then it becomes execution. They're going to create a management level, create a blueprint, create some goals, try to execute on that. Once they start doing that, then they're going to start looking around the industry and looking to see who they'll eliminate. And Brian Gray will be near the top of that list. You can guarantee that, Brian. I know you're watching since you do let me know that you tune in. Appreciate that. Backyard breaks. Hope or broke for these gentlemen? I don't even know if they're still around, honestly.
Hey, look, there's hope for these guys because you guys would buy cards from Jeffrey Dahmer if he had the stuff you wanted. So, I mean, let's be real. So there's really hope for anybody in the sports card world if you get something hot and get something that these people want. So there's definitely hope for them. I saw that Zero Cool Cards retweeted them the other day because they pulled a Gary Vee autograph. So they're getting love from the industry. People, presumably didn't know or forgotten about, the Trevor Lawrence Gold Kaboom scandal and some of the other things they've been involved with. But so certainly hope for them because, somebody could kill your kids and you guys would still buy a slab from them if it was something you needed. So definitely hope for them.
I'm going to agree with that. Last one, and probably, in terms of, people that we've talked about and bashed on this channel, we've really taken it hard to the paint on this company and dunked and then stolen the ball and then dunked on them again. And that is because they continually make mistakes. And then companies like eBay end up dunking on them as well. And that, of course, is PWCC. Is there hope, or are they going to be broke by the end of 2022?
Again, another cockroach company. I'm going to say there's hope for them. I haven't bought anything from them since they got kicked off eBay. I've looked at their website a little bit and looked at some of the auctions because, again, I'm not opposed from buying something from a crook too if I think I can make a nickel off of it. So
just runs in the hobby.
I mean, There's obviously hope. People are still, for some reason, sending them cards, which I just think is bizarre because you do have other options, and I just think that they have they're not even on eBay. I don't know. I just think the audience for their cards have probably dropped off a little bit in some of their auctions, but they do run like if you buy something from them, it's usually shipped pretty professionally, quickly, and not a whole lot of issues. So I haven't ever had a whole lot of issues of buying stuff from them in the past. Again, it's been quite a long time because I haven't bought anything since I got kicked off, but there's obviously hope. We'll have at least a 12 episode special of them in a couple months. So, but that'll probably just strengthen their position in the hobby. They'll become more well known, and more people will log in and send cards to the vault.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me to really predict what's happening with them because I'm not into kind of buying and selling. But I tell you what, as long as they're allowing shill bidding, and I can imagine they are. I can imagine on the premier auction or whatever they're running, there's shill bidding going on, or there's funny business in the back. And like you said, in this hobby, anytime you can make an extra nickel on a trading card, people are going to just turn the blind eye to stuff like shill bidding. And when it's on your own platform, look, there's not much, you've already got kicked off eBay. So, I have to assume that what they were doing there was pretty serious, and it's likely continuing. And we know the management at this company, and some of it comes from Heroes of Sport, who had no regard for the hobby or doing anything above board. So, and those people are still there running that company, and the same people that were allowing shill bidding on eBay and allowing the trimming of cards and so on and so forth, they're still there. And so if as long as you can send your card to PWCC and then kind of put your reserve in there and bid it up at the end, people are going to send them cards. And so there's certainly hope for PWCC. But there's no hope for the rest of this video because that is it again. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. We'll be back again soon. Check my pH level, bitch.
Scrub.